السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وماذا بالنسبة لي؟ ألست أنا الخاتم؟ وأنت تقول أنه لن يكون لي ذرية على هذه الأرض ولا حتى من الناحية الروحانية، فماذا تبقى لي؟ فالمشركون والأعداء يسخرون مني على عدم ولادة ولد لي، وليس هذا فقط، وإنما لم يعطى ولدا، وكذلك لن يظهر من أمتي نبي أو ليكون كابن روحاني للرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. فعلى هذا والعياذ بالله ألف مرة يقولون على أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أبتر ليس من ناحية واحدة فقط، بل من الناحية الروحانية أيضا. فهل لذوي العقل السليم في أن يتقبلوا هذا التفسير وهذا الشيء الذي ذكرناه الآن؟ فأعداؤه كانوا يقولون بماذا فضلك الله سبحانه وتعالى عنا؟ فأنت لم ترزق بالأولاد، بينما نحن فرزقنا بالبنات والأولاد أيضا، فبماذا فضلك الله عنا؟ فحسب تفسير المشايخ أن هؤلاء أعداء الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يعرفون الكفاية، فإنه لم يكن فقط لم يكن لديه ابن على هذه الأرض، وإنما لم يكن له ابنا روحانيا أيضا، حيث ذكر في الآية: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين. فلكن هنا هي للاستدراك، فلا يمكن أن تعني هذه الآية سوى أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم ليس أبا بالمعنى المعروف لديكم، بل هو أب من نوع آخر. فخاتم لها معنى متشابه لأبا أو أبو، أو أبو استعملت بالمعنى الحرفي، وخاتم استعملت بالمعنى الروحاني. فالرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم كان خاتما لجميع الأنبياء، فهذا هو النطاق التي تعطيه كلمة خاتم، والتي لا يمكن أن يحصر نفس النطاق بكلمة أب. حضرة إبراهيم عليه الصلاة والسلام كان أبو الأنبياء بالنسبة لأنبياء المستقبل فقط، وليس بالنسبة للأنبياء الذين سبقوه. ولكن كلمة خاتم لها فهم آخر لا يتعلق بالزمان، لا يتعلق بالزمن أو الوقت حيث يحصر المعنى. فالأب لا يمكن أن يكون أبا لمن يسبقه، ولكن خاتم يمكنها أن تغطي الماضي والمستقبل أيضا، فهذا اصطلاح لا يتعلق بالوقت. هذا قال حضرة أمير المؤمنين، هذا ما أريد التشديد عليه في جوابي على هذا السؤال. فأبو وخاتم اصطلاحين مختلفين، بينما خاتم تحوي في داخلها الأبوة المثالية. والفرق الأهم هو أن الخاتمية لا تتعلق بالوقت. وذكر عن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم، حيث ذكر في مسند الإمام بن حنبل المجلد الرابع، قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: إني عبد الله لخاتم النبيين، وإن آدم عليه السلام لمنجدل في طينته. أي أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم كان خاتم الأنبياء قبل ولادة آدم على هذه الأرض. فإذا الخاتمية لا تتعلق بالوقت، وأن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم كان خاتما قبل ولادة آدم، فلماذا ولد آدم كنبي لله سبحانه وتعالى؟ لأن قبله كانت كلمة خاتم أو كلمة خاتم النبيين. وبعد خاتم حسب اعتقاد الملات والمشايخ لا يمكن لنبي أن يأتي بعد خاتم النبيين. وعلى هذا آدم عليه الصلاة والسلام كان يجب أن لا يولد بتاتا، كيف لبادئ في أن يأتي بعد الخاتم؟ فهذه سنة للرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تشرح فقط معنى الخاتم، وإنما تشرح الفرق بين الأبوية والخاتمية. فيعرف الأب بابنه، فالخاتمية تحوي ذلك المعنى أيضا، وأن الخاتمية هي كخاتم يدمغ في طبيعة الابن. فإذا وجدت الصفات عند الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم كنبي في الأنبياء السابقين، فلا أحد يستطيع إنكار ذلك، لأن الولد سر لأبيه، فتدمغ فيه صفات أبيه. فمن يخالف صفات الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يمكن تسميته نبيا. واصطلاح الخاتمية ليس فقط اصطلاح غير زمني، وإنما أيضا لا يتعلق بالمكان وينتشر في كل مكان، وهذا معنى يدل على مجيء الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم للعالم أجمع. فالخاتمية والعالمية هي نفس الشيء. فإذا لم يشهد جميع الأنبياء في لم يشهد الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم على صدق جميع الأنبياء الذين أتوا من قبله، فلا يمكن أن يكون نبيا عالميا، لأنه لن يشمل زمنا معينا أو لن يشمل منطقة معينة. That's finished.
It was a long exercise, you know. It was. It's found it difficult to cover everything. Huh? You did.
We had the tape also.
Good, excellent. Jazakumullah. So, anything else would you like to find, or anyone else would? Or were we still at it? Were we? You have not yet finished the answer?
No, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
Jazakumullah. No, I have another question.
Yes, please do.
I read in many instances about the Christians who see visions and have some, I don't know what to call it, is it revelation or what? So I don't understand what is the meaning of.
You see, the issue of visions, revelations, hallucinations, etc. is a very complex, mixed up issue. And it should be understood in detail, and one should be able to clearly distinguish between a divine message and the psychic phenomenon of creating visions and hallucinations, etc., etc. Dreams, as Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself told us, are of two types. One are from nafs, and one shouldn't much care about those dreams. One should, when one experiences a dream which is rather scary in nature, then one should spit on the left side and say La hawla wa la quwwata and forget about it and sleep, go back to sleep again. But there are the dreams also from Rahman, from God the Rahman. Those are the dreams which have to be recognized as such. The question is how? And the question is, does God show dreams even to non-Muslims, non-believers, and everybody in the world alike? So this is a very important issue which you have raised, and we should take it up systematically. And first of all, I would like to analyze the issue not from religious point of view, but from the psychological point of view. Human mind is a very complex thing. So far, the scientists have not been able to understand even 100,000th part of the brain. But they know one thing for certain, that our conscious mind is different, and it only hovers on the surface of the brain. Deep inside, there are many portions of the brain which are constantly working. But what they are working about, we don't know. But they are involved in heavy work, day and night continuously. So the conscious mind is, as I suggested, as I told you already, is on the surface of the brain. Subconscious mind is at a slightly lower level, and it is the subconscious mind which is responsible for the phenomenon of dreams and visions. What happens is that whatever we think during the day consciously, we do not have time to compute the whole data and draw conclusions. You go through a street and glance casually at things, and you may not even remember them, but your mind has taken note of everything which you observed and everything which wanted to be explained. So while awake, you don't realize and don't remember what you had seen. The mind will continue to compute it and draw different conclusions. Now, if it is a haphazard experience, the conclusion of the mind would also be haphazard. If the mind is healthy, then if you try to organize the facts in a manner that may turn the facts into a pleasant dream. But if the mind is disturbed and somebody is annoyed or worried for something, then the same data will be jumbled together in a very disorderly and rather scary way as well, where instead of getting peace out of that vision, you are horrified at what is in store for you. So the mind, the subconscious goes on surfacing its results from time to time, and that is dream. Now people believe that we see dreams only occasionally. Some people say we don't see dream at all. This is wrong. The moment we go to sleep, we keep dreaming, and this dreaming is the rumination. Sorry. You know, like the cow, after it has eaten its fodder, it lies down and then goes on bringing it up back to the mouth and regurgitates, and after grinding it further, then it swallows it back into the stomach. So this surface mind, which is the conscious mind, keeps on receiving the throw up of the subconscious brain. As it throws up its views and things, that make dream in the conscious mind, which we remember sometimes. But we only remember those things when we are on the verge of awakening ourselves, not before that. So whatever dreams you see throughout the night, you will forget them. But only those dreams you may remember, not necessarily, which appear at regular intervals of are returning back to awakening. Now Allah has organized this thing in such a perfect way that like atomic clocks, the mind works at exactly the same intervals, and about an hour and 40 minutes from the first sleep, I don't remember exactly, but perhaps it is that period, an hour and 40 minutes from the first sleep, the moment you sink into sleep, the mind will surface again, and your eyes will begin to make rapid movements, right and left, like this. And those rapid movements, if you observe somebody asleep at that moment, are visible across the lid, because the lid also trembles, and you can see the eyeball moving right, left, right, left, left, right. So this is called REM, rapid eye movement phase. Now when you wake up somebody who is in that phase of rapid eye movement, that is where he is closest to awakening. When you wake him up, suddenly he will tell you a dream, and never without a dream. You know, it's impossible for you to wake somebody up during the REM and with a blank mind. He says, "Oh, you woke me up. You know, I was seeing that dream." So it happens once, twice, 3 times. It depends on how long you sleep. But after every interval, in the period of that sleep which follows is lessened. But it is decreased according to a calculation, which is all made by God. We don't know how it's calculated. But this happens in every case, every human exactly alike. So this is how we see dreams. And when during awakening hours something disturbs the mind and it throws up its material within without rhyme or reason, except that the man is becoming mad or is over worried with things, so he can't have the proper control of his mental faculties, then these things from within are surfaced while we are awake. And when we are awake, we suddenly begin to see dreams. And the people watch us as being awake. So we say, look here, there is a man doing this, and there is a woman doing that, and there is a child doing this, and thieves have come, and robbers have come, and somebody has burned the house. And you say, now he's raving mad, this man or this woman, because he's talking of things which are not there. But we also sort of become mad during our sleep when we see things which are not there. So this is a natural phenomenon, and there's so much else to be said about it, which is very interesting, but I would not like to take all the time in explaining the natural phenomenon. From this I will turn to the religious phenomenon, how it works, and how you can distinguish between one type of dreams and another type of dreams. Right?
لقد سألت الأخت مها بأن بعض المسيحيين يرون بعض الأحلام أو الكشوف، وقالت لا أعرف ماذا أسميها، فهل هذه يمكن أن تحدث أم لا؟ ورد حضرة أمير المؤمنين وقال إن هذه الأحلام والكشوف والهلوسة هي مخلوطة بعضها بالبعض، فعلينا أن نفرق بين كل من هذه الأنواع. فكما ذكر الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أن الأحلام أو هي صنفين، فمنها فالقسم الأول هو من النفس، حيث أعطى مثالا على ذلك حضرة أمير المؤمنين إذا يحلم أحد بشيء مخيف أو مرعب ويستيقظ أثناء الليل، فهذا الشيء لا نعطيه أي أهمية إلا فقط في أن نقول لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله، وأن نبصق إلى الجهة اليسرى. وأما القسم الثاني فهو من الكشوف مما يتلقاه الإنسان من الله سبحانه وتعالى. فقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين أنه أولا أريد تحليل الموضوع من الناحية العقلية. فدماغ الإنسان له طبقات معينة، فالدماغ يشتغل ليل نهار، ولا يمكن للإنسان عند رؤيته لأي شيء في تلك الأحيان أن يقوم باستنتاج الاستنتاجات وأن يلاحظ كل هذه الأشياء، ولكن مع ذلك فالدماغ يسجل كل هذه المعلومات. فذكر حضرته أن هنالك الدماغ شبه واعي، وهو القسم الداخلي من الدماغ، حيث تسجل كل هذه المعلومات، وعندما يذهب الإنسان إلى النوم فهذه المعلومات إذا كان الدماغ مستريحا قد تتحول إلى أحلام جميلة أو بصورة جميلة، وإذا كان الدماغ تحت ضغط معين أو خوف أو ما شابه ذلك فقد تتحول هذه المعلومات إلى أحلام مخيفة أو غير ذلك. فيقول بعض الناس أننا لا نحلم أبدا، ويقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين هذا خطأ، فإن هذا الشيء يحصل ويحدث لجميع الناس. فقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين الدماغ السطحي هو الدماغ الواعي، والدماغ القسم الداخلي من الدماغ هو الدماغ الشبه واعي والذي يسجل تلك المعلومات. فقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين أن تلك الأحلام التي يتذكرها الإنسان هي عندما يقرب من الاستيقاظ، فكل شيء يحلمه خلال الليل يصعب عليه يصعب تذكره. وقال حضرته أيضا أن الله سبحانه وتعالى رتب هذا بشكل عظيم، حيث أن في 1:40 منذ بداية النوم، وقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين أنها تسمى REM أن خلالها الإنسان الدماغ يخرج كل المعلومات التي كانت وسجلت خلال النهار أو خلال ساعات الاستيقاظ، يبدأ الإنسان يخرجها إلى الدماغ الواعي، ويبدأ الإنسان برؤية الأحلام. ويقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين: إذا أيقظتم أي شخص في هذه الأوقات لا بد من أن يقول لكم لقد رأيت هذا ورأيت ذلك، ولا يمكن في أن يستيقظ ويقول لم أرى أي شيء. ويقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين أيضا أن هنالك عند ساعات الاستيقاظ يخرج الدماغ الشبه واعي إلى السطح الخارجي من الدماغ، وهو الدماغ الواعي. قد يلاحظ الناس أن هنالك بعض الناس يتصرفون بشكل غريب، وذلك نابع عن عدم تسلط ومراقبة أو قوة مراقبة هؤلاء الناس على أفكارهم. وقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين: لا نريد الخوض في تفسير وتحليل الحالة الطبيعية فقط في هذا البرنامج، ولكن أريد أن أذكر كيف يمكننا أن نفرق بين هذين القسمين من الأحلام.
Now, why do we see these things and what is the purpose? There are two things. Number one, this machinery is provided to man for the purpose of God communicating with man when he so desires. If there is no receiving set, how can the radio, if it does not have the machine for receiving radio messages, how can the radio serve any purpose? Or how can the radio station come into contact with the people who want to hear the news or any message of the radio? They have to employ some receiving set. Otherwise, the purpose of radio station will be in vain. So similarly, I believe that man has been provided with full machinery by God to activate it whenever he so desires. Because God has no language of his own, but every man has a language of his own, which is all computerized in his brain. So God can activate any part he likes and turn it into messages and visions as he so pleases. Like the medical profession knows well that they have now the capability of exciting certain brain cells during the operation with an electrode, and then they map certain parts. As the electrode passes from one part to the other, the man begins to see visions and see dreams and start speaking to people which are real, but they have been very, in the past they met him, and the visions sometimes he sees which his conscious brain had completely forgotten. Like during an operation here in England, an English child, now grown up of course, started speaking German language, excellent German for that matter. The doctors are amazed. How on earth could she learn German during the operation, while previously she did not know a word of German language. She never was taught it at school. So when they inquired from the parents, they disclosed that one of her vet nurses, when she was very young, an infant baby, was a German lady who used to talk aloud to herself, because sitting with the baby, she was tired and fed up, and they used to go out for different things. So sitting alone, this was her habit. She kept on talking to herself. Oh, I did this, and oh, that and that did that to me, and so on. So it's called soliloquy in English, to talk alone to oneself. And all that material had imprinted on the mind of the child, but pushed down to the subconscious. So consciously she didn't know anything. But when they excited the brain cells, some of the subconscious cells also got excited because of the electrode sending the vibration down into the brain. It could reach lower surfaces as well. And suddenly those parts were activated where all the knowledge of German had been stored in perfect order. So if electronically these parts can be excited, and if, like you play harmonium, you know, press this key and that key, you make new music out of that. Similarly, God is capable of course He is capable of pressing the right keys in the brain and using the human brain for messages in the language which the human brain knows already. But they have to be controlled messages and controlled visions. That is one thing. Another thing is, brain, when it gets excited from within, out of disease, emotion or something. How can you accept the theory that a foreign body, a foreign person, let us say, is capable of exciting human brain from outside? Do we have any evidence of that? So this question is also answered in affirmative with reference to the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran tells us that when the Pharaoh's magicians played their trick by throwing their ropes and sticks and making the people believe that they were snakes, they had not actually turned them into snakes. Saharu ayunan nase. They had only spellbound the eyes of the people. They had cast no spell on the snakes themselves. So this means that even humans can influence the brain of somebody else by thinking concentratedly with great power of concentration. And somehow Allah has already created the message, the medium through which this strong message of a man who has trained his brain in doing it reaches another person's brain, and sometimes it reaches the entire people, a full mass of people, like it happened in the case of all the spectators. They were certainly great magicians who were collected by Pharaoh, who concentrated on doing something, and even Moses, being a prophet of Allah, he received that impression so strongly that according to the Quran, he started to run away like he always did. And the first time his own staff had turned into a snake or a python, the Holy Quran says he just left the place and ran for his life. God called him back. Come on, don't be afraid. Now it's the same Moses who behaves exactly in the same manner, where he sees the staffs and the ropes of these magicians make things appear like snakes. Although God had warned him it can happen, but not really. When you hold the staff, it will turn back. It's only a vision, an illusion. But he was naturally has been very much impressed. So that is the proof of God's activation. Now this is what I come to. If God had not activated the minds of the people to return back to normal, Moses had no capacity, because he himself was under the spell. And it is a law of mesmerism and hypnotism that one who has fallen under the spell of anybody else's brain, he can't change it. It suddenly goes under and it remains under. It cannot alter things. So when Moses ran away for his life, the magicians noted this, and they knew for certain that this man is incapable of countering our spell. Then suddenly they saw everything was countered and they were left with just simple ropes and things. That is why they prostrated and said, we believe in the God of Moses and Aaron. They, the magicians, they knew better than anybody else that if it was not the work of humans, their defeat must have been brought about by God, a superior power, or the human beings like Moses were absolutely incapable of countering their superior mind power. So that proves at the same time, both things are proved. Mind of man can influence another mind without the instrument of speech or written messages or any medium like electrical waves and things. Nothing of detectable is involved. That mind can influence other minds. And also God can influence and does influence the minds in the same manner. Now when he sends a wahi to his prophets, it is the same mental phenomenon or machinery already there. It is activated by God with a specific message, typed onto into the brain. And the person, as God wishes, either hears things or sees things. Now the proof that this happens like this lies in our experience with ilham and wahi. Rasulullah sallam used to receive ilham, nobody else knew what was happening. So that ilham was like he heard voices from outside, but it was created by God within his mind. If it had come as a verbal, radiation of some sort, then people around should also have heard it. So that means the brain is equipped with this strange capability with the ultimate purpose that man would receive wahi from Allah. Sometimes some people's brains have the quality of getting activated by themselves, like during madness, during disease, during excitement sometimes. You go into a trance and you start seeing visions. So some phenomenon you refer to could be of that nature, which is called parapsychological phenomenon. But it's a long subject. You will not be able to translate all of it if I go on saying it. The rest I'll answer during my next sitting with you, inshallah. But let him translate. Right?
لقد ذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين أن هذا الشيء جعل الله سبحانه وتعالى للإنسان في لاستقبال الرسالات من الله سبحانه وتعالى. فدون جهاز الاستقبال كيف يحصل الإنسان على هذه الرسالات؟ وأعطى مثلا على ذلك حضرة أمير المؤمنين محطة الراديو. فدون جهاز الاستقبال الموجات التي تبث من هذه المحطة فكيف يقوم في أن يحصل على هذا البث؟ فالإنسان زود بهذه الأجهزة للاتصال بالله سبحانه وتعالى. فإن الله سبحانه وتعالى ليس له لغة معينة، ويستطيع الله سبحانه وتعالى في أن يحفز خلايا معينة وتظهر كرسالة معينة إلى ذلك الشخص. وذكر حضرته أيضا أن هنالك بعض الأخصائيين والأطباء في هذه الأيام يحفزون بعض الخلايا في المخ والدماغ، ويبدأ الدماغ في استرجاع معلومات كانت في الدماغ الشبه واعي ولا يذكرها ذلك الإنسان في حالته العادية. وذكر حضرته أيضا حدث في بريطانيا أن خلال عملية جراحية لطفلة إنجليزية بدأت تتكلم اللغة الألمانية خلال العملية الجراحية، وتعجب الأطباء كيف لهذه الطفلة في أن تتكلم الألمانية وحيث أنها لم تتكلم هذه اللغة من قبل. وتبين أنها كانت لها مربية مربية ألمانية الأصل، وكانت تناجي نفسها وتتكلم لوحدها في بعض الأحيان. فهذا دخل دماغ هذه الطفلة إلى دماغ الشبه واعي، وعندما حفزت هذه الخلايا قام الدماغ الشبه واعي بإخراج تلك المعلومات وتحفيز تلك الخلايا وإظهارها إلى الدماغ السطحي والواعي. فهذا شيء واحد قال حضرة أمير المؤمنين. وهنالك شيء آخر، فهل يستطيع أحد تحفيز خلايا المخ من جسد آخر، جسد منفصل، أو لأي رجل في أن يحفز هذه الخلايا في دماغ إنسان وعقول أناس آخرين؟ وذكر حضرته السحرة في زمن سيدنا موسى عليه الصلاة والسلام، حيث ظهرت حبالهم كالثعابين أمام الناس. وحتى سيدنا موسى عليه الصلاة والسلام عندما تحولت عصاه إلى ثعبانا تفاجأ وهرب، ولكن بعد الله سبحانه وتعالى ناداه مرة أخرى وقال له هذا فقط كحلما أو في ليس حقيقة، وإنما فقط تراه أمامك. فلا بد وأن هؤلاء السحرة كانوا سحرة عظماء، حيث أن سيدنا موسى عليه الصلاة والسلام بنفسه رآها كما رآها الناس ثعابين تسعى. وقال حضرته أن الإنسان أنه من الصعب للإنسان في أن يرجع إلى حالته السابقة إذا تمت سيطرة أحد السحرة على عقول ودماغ رجل معين. فعندما هرب سيدنا موسى عليه الصلاة والسلام بعد أن تحولت عصاه إلى ثعبانا، عرف السحرة أن رجلا مثل سيدنا موسى عليه الصلاة والسلام لا يستطيع التسلط بتركيزه وأن يسيطر على عقول وأدمغة الناس. ولهذا سجدوا لسيدنا لله، سجدوا وقالوا أنهم وأقروا على أنهم يؤمنون برب موسى عليه الصلاة والسلام. فدماغ رجل معين يمكنه أن يؤثر على دماغ وعقول أخرى، وكذلك الله سبحانه وتعالى يستطيع أن يحفز كما ذكرنا خلايا معينة وتظهر للإنسان بشكل رسالات منه. فللأنبياء نفس جهاز الاستقبال، حيث يرسل الله سبحانه وتعالى رسالته إلى رسله. فالإلهام والكشف ذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين كان الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يجلس بشكل عادي ويتلقى إلهاما من الله سبحانه وتعالى، بينما الصحابة حوله لم يسمعوا ذلك. فهذا يدل على أن الله سبحانه وتعالى وهب الإنسان هذه الخاصية والميزة في أن يقوم بتحفيز بعض الخلايا وأن تظهر كرسالة معينة. وذكر حضرته أيضا أنه قد يمكن أن تحفز هذه الخلايا من الجسم نفسه أو من نفس جسم الإنسان. فذكر حضرته كالجنون والأحلام التي ليست لها معنى، فهذه تنتج من نفس الإنسان.
No, this understanding resolves another problem as well. When it is God and God alone who speaks to the prophets and all the prophets of the world, why is there a difference of quality between the wahi of one prophet and the wahi of another prophet? And again, why is there a difference of quality in the wahi of a prophet and a non-prophet? If God is the same, then the quality must remain the same. Because no one else speaks, God speaks, and why should the quality change? But you can understand it with reference to the radio sets. However powerful the radio station may be, if you have an old radio set or a television bought second hand, then the quality will be very poor and sometimes very jarring on your nerves. Like Pir Sahib in my office, he got a second-hand television for £2. Imagine. We always, tease him that this is why you tell us the wrong information about the weather, because your television is very poor. No fault of the weather forecasters. It's your television which is doing it. And the bad radio is jars on your nerves, and the noise created is like like there is some thunderstorm somewhere. But the radio station remains the same, the television station remains the same. So it is a tribute to the quality of the mind of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that the Holy Quran is afsahul kutub in the entire world. And the quality of mind does not simply mean the quality of the material brain. When I say quality of mind, I mean a different thing. Quality of brain is also important, but what is more important is the truth of one's person and his complete dedication to God. If all the antennas are in the direction of God, the message received will be very powerful and clear. But if some are diverted here and some are there, some are disorganized, and the dedication is of course in that direction, but it does not have that deep-seated sincerity and purity and dedication of a lover. So the quality of the Prophet also varies from person to person. Otherwise, no one could be Khatamun Nabiyyin, no one could be Sayyid Wuldi Adam if every Prophet had the same quality. So they are the recipients of Wahi, all right, from God, but their mental receiving sets are different, and the quality of their minds with relation to their dedication to God also varies. That is why Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah's brain was the only brain and only mind which was tuned for receiving the final perfect message, where there was no confusion whatsoever. This word, this expression, la raiba fihi, is strangely missing from all other divine revelations. If you can't read the whole, start the opening chapter and you will find this missing. Because, of course, there is no rab in God's Wahi, but rab comes into the divine book through interpolation of people, and sometimes through the vagueness of the receiving set. So, whatever may have happened, we know for certain that the book, the Holy Quran, is the only reliable book in the world which speaks every word of it from God, and no human element or wishful thinking or any illusion could find its passage into the Quran. So this is the philosophy of revelation. And now when you can differentiate between the revelation of one person and the revelation of another person, judging it by the quality of its contents and the language, it is not at all difficult to distinguish between a revelation from God and an illusion created by the internal set. It has ravings, it has disorderliness, it does not have the beauty of an excellent speaker with full command over language, expressing himself or delivering a message. But more than that, the human ravings or experiences which are just human never can create a prophecy, can never speak of things which are not already known to man, because the human brain has the limitation of bringing up to you, to your surface, only that which has already been computed therein, which the human brain has not heard, it cannot compute. But God can not only activate the stored things, but it can also bring in new material by recording messages directly on the unused cells. So that is why sometimes prophets are, are addressed by God only as specimen in languages which they knew not before. And a Persian revelation is also attributed to Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In khmushte khakra garna bakhsham chekunam. This Persian revelation has been reported by many great saints that Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam once received a Persian revelation. It means this handful of dust, this man, God addressing Rasulullah says, man, this handful of dust, if I don't forgive, what shall I do? Man is so worthless that after all, Rahmaniyat would take charge of everything. So it's a beautiful ilham, but not in Arabic, but in Persian. So this does not require a pre-knowledge of any language, because God, if He so desires, can compute new words. That is what happened at the time of Khutbah Ilhamiyah. Hazrat Masih had never read that vocabulary which he used and employed during that speech. Sometimes words appeared before his eyes like a vision, use me, saying as if inviting him to use them. So this is the difference in short, because so much else could also be said. But now I am awaited downstairs for another meeting. But you have time, 10 minutes or huh? In the meantime you will translate. Okay? I take leave of you. Assalamu alaikum.